Hi everyone, it's Mindy from My Creative Scoop, and I'm here to share a video tutorial for scrapbookpal.com. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to create these adorable little ornament tags using the new and old Lawn Fawn collections. The ornament's shape is using this stitched ornament die, and then the new die set I'm actually using is the shadow box add-on for the mountains in the background. And I'm using some of the stamps from this new Ho Ho Holidays stamp set. Super, super cute. Also using the coordinating dies to die cut it out. And then this really, really adorable Mice on Ice new stamp set from the new Lawn Fawn collection, which is all can be purchased at scrapbookpal.com. Okay, so in my tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you how to create this little Santa one down here. I'm going to start with my Copic Coloring, and then we are going to assemble this adorable little ornament. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna color this cute little Santa from Lawn Fawn using our Copic markers. I've stamped my image in black Memento ink, and I've stamped it onto my Copic Express It blending card. I'm going to be using my E13, E11, E00, R32, and R30 for my skin tones. I always like to start with my skin tones first. So first thing we're going to do is take our R32 and add a couple little dots here right underneath the eyes for some rosy cheeks. And then we're going to take the R30 and just go right over those dots and make them a little bit bigger. This softens them and will blend nicely when we add our skin tone. So I'm going to start with my E13 and come right below the hat. Come down the sides a little, and then also right at the base of the sleeve. Give a little bit of a shadow there. And then we're going to take the E11, and we're just going to come out a little bit more. And now we're going to take the E00, and we want to get a nice blend right along the edge of that E11, and once we do, we can go ahead and just fill in the rest of the white space. Now normally with a larger image I would go back and add a second coat, but I think we're pretty good. Let's just add a little bit more E11 here in the center. If you see, there's that little line right there, and if we just go back over it and brush it out just a little bit, it will soften it up so you don't have that harsh line between the two colors. So now what I like to color next on my images is anything that's going to be the lightest. So since we are having some white areas for the beard and the rim of the hat and the suit, we're going to be having that white, so we want to shadow it with gray. So I'm going to be using N3, N0, N1, and N5. I'm going to start with my N3, and I like to, when I'm working with such a small area, I like to skip between colors. So we're going to start with the N3, add a little bit of a shadow right below the hat, come up a little bit along the sides, then on the bottom part of the little fuzzy ball, just kind of like it's curving, right at the sleeves, just a little bit of shadow there, and then also right below the suit, this white part here. So right along the bottom, just like how we did the hat. And you can already probably tell the reason why I like to skip between colors is because there's not a whole lot of room. So now we went N3, now we're going to take the N0, and we're going to come out just a little bit more because we still want to leave a white space. Anytime you color something white and you're just giving it a shadow, you want to leave a spot that's still white. So I'm just going to soften up that edge right along that N3. And now I'm going to go back with my N5. And I'm really going to stay close to the outline of the image. So just think of this as tracing the outline of the image in that shadowed area. Same thing over here, and then down here, and here. So instead of using the N3 and N0 is going to be too much of a gap, we're going to go with our N1. So the color combination is N3, N0, then N5, and then N1 when you're coloring small areas. So now I'm just going to come out just a little bit more, softening that N5, making that white really stand out, really make it pop. And I've still left some white area on there, so that way it's just a shadowed white area. So now let's go ahead and do the same thing for his beard. Start with the N3. And where it's coming out from the bottom of the hat, we're going to give it a little shadow there. And you want to stay close to Santa's face. And then we're going to come underneath his mustache. And then you could see where on the beard where it comes up a little bit, there's a little divot. So I'm just going to come up just a little bit more, really give a little bit of definition there so it looks like a really fluffy beard. So I just brought it out a little bit more. So now we're going to go with N0. Flick going down, pulling out some of that N3. Same thing here, and then here. You want to bring it up a little bit more and go along the sides as well. So we're dragging that N3 across. And then we'll take the N5. Add a little bit of a shadow in the corners up here and then underneath the mustache, and then just a tiny bit here. So even if you're just adding little dots right on that where it peaks up. So now when we take our N1, we're going to be dragging some of that N5 out. So we're pulling it out, making it a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and color his suit red. So I'm going to be using R59, R37, and R35. I'm going to start with my R59 since that's going to be the darkest. And I'm going to go ahead and add color where I want the shadows to be. So right behind the white part of the hat, we want it to seem like it's big and fluffy. So we want to add a shadow right behind it. And since it's curving right here, I'm going to make it a little thicker just on that one side. Then we're going to be making a shadow right underneath his beard. And then along the bottom parts of his arms and on the inside parts of his body. And then we're going to go ahead and have it wrap around, so it's just going to be right at the corners there. And then we're going to pull it lighter with each new lighter color. So now I'm going to take my R37. And give a couple of little flicks, pulling out some of the R59. Same thing down here with each new lighter color. We're just coming out a little bit more. And then the R35. So you want to get a nice blend right along the edge of that R37 before you just fill it in. That way it's blended. Same thing down here. You want to come right along the edge of that R37 and then fill it in. Don't just go like this. See, you could see that line right there. You want to go back and forth right around where the R37 has stopped, so you pull out some of that color. And then same thing here. Pull, pull. And I forgot to shadow his pants. So let's go ahead and take the R59 back out, add a little bit of a shadow right underneath his coat. And then again a little bit with the R37. And then a tiny bit more with the R35. And since right here is so little, I don't believe we need a second coat. This image is just way too small, so you go back and forth a couple of times, that's already your second coat. Alright, so now we're going to be using E43 and E42 for the belt buckle. I love the way this looks. It looks more of a, like a golden color rather than using a yellow. So right in the center part of the buckle, I'm just going to come out a little bit and just kind of go over it a little, just tracing it. And then you'll take your E42, come out a little bit more, and it has a brassy, goldish look to it. So now for the belt and for the boots, we are going to be coloring them black. So we're just going to actually be using N5 and N3, so it's just more of a gray. I'm going to start with N5, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color right on the outside parts of the belt and then along the bottom of the boot, and then right underneath the pant leg. So it's just that little bit of color. That is why we are only using those two colors. And now for N3, we're going to go ahead and get a nice blend right along that N5 and then fill in the belt. Same thing with the boots. Go right along the edge and then fill it in. Alright, so we are all finished coloring our little Santa. He is ready to be cut out and we are ready to put our tag together. Okay, so in order to create the dies, we need to die cut the ornament a couple of different times. So I'm using the large one here so I could fit my Santa on it, and I have used my Shadow Box Mountain add-on. So I've pre-die cut the ornament here, and here is the little top for it. And then I had to cut out my mountains, and then I had to cut them out again using the ornament die. So that way it fits nicely right on the top of there. Then I've cut out a second ornament in white, and I'm going to just trim right along the top here, so that way it can be snow. So you want to make sure you have a good idea of where your mountains are going to end, so that way you know where to cut, so that way you don't go over. And just trim that right along there. Okay, so it all lines up really good now. I'm happy with it. So it's going to go about here, and then my snow is going to go about there. So what we need to do now is create the background. So I'm using my Salty Ocean Distress Oxide inks and my blending brushes. And I'm going to start right at the top. Since we're going to be covering the top part with the little cap, it's going to stay white, so we don't really have to worry about it. So, but I want the darkest part to be right along the top. So I'm just going to go in little circular motions and come all the way down. I do want it to be a little bit lighter as it comes down. And you could fill in the entire ornament if you'd like, but you don't really need to waste the ink since we're not going to be seeing the bottom of this layer. Okay. So now we are ready to glue our ornament together. So I'm going to take my mountains, add a little bit of glue, and put them in place. I don't use the tape runners or double-sided tape when I'm gluing my cards together, so because I have that quick second just in case I didn't get something straight, I'm able to move it. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom part for the snow. Line that up. And then we'll take the top part, add a little bit of glue right to the top here, and then stick the little top on. So I have some little white snow caps here for the mountains. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the top part of the mountains. And then glue them on. Super, super cute. So I'm going to add my little foam squares on my Santa. I almost said snowman. On my little Santa. And then we're going to place him on our little tag. So I want to place him in an area where I can still see the little snow caps. So that's why I went a little higher with my snow, so that way it can come right down here. So that way you see the little snow up there. If I moved him up a little higher, I was playing around with it and you couldn't see it. So then I have these two little presents here that I'm also going to add. So I'm just going to add another little foam dot, and we're going to place them in Santa's hands. Oh, maybe we'll place this one right behind here. There we go. So super, super cute. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my white gel pen, and I'm going to add some little dots for snow. You can add a little on the mountains as well, since they're just gray. That way it adds a little bit more. And if you want to, you can add a little bit on Santa himself and the presents. So that way it all comes together. So then I'm going to use my Stardust Stickles. And a little bit of this really goes a long way. You don't need a whole lot. So I just like to squirt out a little bit and then just drag it across with the tip of the container. Add a little bit of snow here, and I'm also going to add a little bit of snow on top of the little mountains and up here on the ornament. And then we'll let him dry before we put our ribbon on. Alright, so here are all of my little ornament tags. They were so much fun to create. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.